Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope your day is going well. So we're going to be doing something a little bit interesting. The Q&A is coming back due to frequent requests that I get on social media. I understand that basically some people like having their questions answered. They like the kind of one-on-one time that the Q&As give outside of scripted videos and stuff. The Podcastrophes will be reserved for having guests and stuff like that, but the Q&As are kind of... it's a conversation between me and you. And so what we're going to start doing is every other week a Podcastrophe and every other week a Q&A. So next week will be a Podcastrophe with guests, and then the week after that will be another Q&A. And if you guys want to have your questions answered, leave them down below. And, you know, since I can't get to every question, otherwise the video will be like 5 hours long, I can't answer every single one, but... hopefully you guys will have your question picked and answered week after next, so, you know, we'll see how this goes. We're going to start off with a question from XY Gaming who says, Q&A, hey dude, I've been a fan for a while now and I thought I would finally give it a shot. Anyways, do you think that 343 can somehow put themselves out of the hole that they've written themselves into, with one of the original main characters being the frickin' villain, killing off all the other villains, and putting us with characters that make Ray look like a deep and interesting character? Do you think if a new writer came in, they could fix this mess? Love your videos and keep up the great work. So, I mean, yeah, anything is fixable with a talented enough writer. Basically, and I noticed that Ray jab there. I'm actually a fan of, so far, the Disney Star Wars movies, outside of a few of them, like Rogue One. I liked The Last Jedi controversially, I liked The Force Awakens controversially, and I like Rey controversially. So from my point of view, Disney has fixed Star Wars after the prequels ruined them, so yes, anything is fixable. And I know that I'm probably already going to get a ton of dislikes just because of that, but... when it comes to the way that Halo, kind of the situation that Halo currently is in story-wise, I get that a lot of people are unhappy. We've had 3 years of discussing the issues. Interestingly enough, I've been playing a lot of Marathon lately. And Marathon was Bungie's previous first-person shooter before Halo. And Marathon... a lot of the themes that it dealt with was transcendence and AIs basically becoming more than just AI, becoming fully sentient, almost godlike and omnipotent as they aged and kind of broke down. The idea of rampancy, you know, AIs falling apart after a couple of years, that was actually an idea that Bungie carried over from Marathon into Halo. And so Bungie has always had this big fascination with AI becoming sentient, and kind of the idea of AI, their massive neural networks, the way that, I mean, essentially a computer, if you gave it unlimited storage, unlimited computing capabilities, it would be able to effectively become a god, predict the future perfectly, live forever, kind of calculate the best way for a universe to progress. And so, in a lot of ways, Halo 5's story does follow a lot of Halo 5's themes. And even Combat Evolved Anniversary, going back as early as that, there were very much... there were allusions to the fact that AI are generally not happy within Halo's universe. I'm thinking of that terminal, where that Covenant AI basically laments to Guilty Spark that it doesn't like... you know, that it has to be shackled to this ship, and it's kind of hoping that the Covenant and the humans wipe each other out so that AI will be left to their own devices, left to live their own lives and become their own species. The idea of Cortana sacrificing herself for humanity and Chief, and kind of it being the sad emotional thing, only to come back, still malfunctioning, but now having godlike powers. And the thing about rampancy in the Halo universe and the Marathon universe is the different stages of rampancy. Essentially when an AI gets to the final stage of rampancy where it's like, okay, the thing will shut down soon, it's usually like there are two choices. Like the AI, kind of as it gets more and more desperate, as it starts to collapse and fall apart with age, it starts to have delusions of godhood and that it is a god and it can become a god. So then, you know, the AI basically pursues a means to preserve itself. And if the AI is able to do that and survive rampancy, it's forever changed. It's forever kind of trapped within the final stage of rampancy, essentially godhood. And that's kind of what happens to Durandal in the Marathon games, and that's kind of what's happening to Cortana right now, the final stage of rampancy being delusions of godhood, and sadly Cortana's found a way to preserve herself. So normally an AI, as it, is basically figuratively lying on its deathbed, the heart monitor, the heartbeat slowing down, and the AI is just like, you can't kill me, I am Halo. The AI would basically die thinking that, no, I can survive, I'm a god, I can do this, and then it finally, flatlines. Or it could find a way to survive and essentially live on with this delusion that it can achieve godhood. And that's the dangerous part, because an AI, a computer with all its processing power and unlimited resources and an unlimited lifespan, that thing could do dangerous things. Halo 5 story, I think, is an example of interesting ideas, but really bad execution. And I do think Halo 5 story is salvageable years later. This is kind of my current thoughts on it. I do not think it is entirely doom and gloom, but I think it's going to take some heavy-duty writing to fix the current issue, because Halo 5 story was quite stupid, as we've discussed over the last 3 or so years. The way that I would fix Halo 5 story going forward is definitely try to play harder into the fact that these AI are malfunctioning, they're in the stages of rampancy, they think they're gods, they are not, though. And kind of, just like this galaxy trying to fight back, take back their technology and stuff. And I mean, hey, they could even use the fact newer technologies under the control of crazy, out-of-control AI as an excuse to have some of the old technology back so we can get that old art style back. Not to turn this into that discussion, but to answer your question, yes, I think any writer could fix Halo story right now, because currently the issue is bad execution, not necessarily a bad idea, and good writing can turn a bad execution into a good execution. So we're gonna move on to Reshef Roy, who says, Q&A, do you think it would be nice for Halo 6 to have a Spartan Ops type side story, only this time with Jerome and Isabel and the Banished and the Spirit of Fire, and then have the normal Halo 6 campaign as well? The side story could be called Halo 6 Banished, and the main story could just be called Halo 6. Love your Q&A vids, keep up the work. So I like Spartan Ops for all its faults. And believe me, there are a lot of faults. I actually liked the characters. Even though some of the portrayals of the characters and kind of the way that it handled Halo's universe was very weird, it definitely was clearly written by a different team that had different ideas of what they thought the Halo universe was. But as this side story, I didn't mind it a lot. I liked that it had a more traditional good guys versus bad guys trying to chase to get control of a super weapon. It had a couple of those familiar Halo tropes that we all know and love. And I liked it for what it was, even if the act of playing it was unbearably dull at points. Now, that being said, something that kind of concerns me, because naturally, yes, I'd love to have a side story back, kind of like Spartan Ops, just maybe done considerably better, but more so realistically, what concerns me is budget, because it's one thing to say, yes, I'd love for Halo 6 to have a campaign, I'd like for it to have Spartan Ops, I'd like it to have 4-player split screen, I'd like it to have this, that, a 20-hour campaign, you've got to keep in mind how much money and how much time it would cost to do all of these things. And that's, sadly, that part of me it's always in the back of my brain nagging me. It's like, don't want that because you're setting yourself up for failure, because it won't happen, because that would cost a lot of money. And sadly, I do think all of those things for Halo would cost a lot of money. Now, Spartan Ops, I know that part of how they were able to get away with it was by reusing a ton of assets, reusing multiplayer maps, and you could tell Spartan Ops looked incredibly low budget, and the amount of areas it reused and the assets that it recycled sometimes got to be annoying. But, you know, who knows, essentially, at the end of the day. Realistically, I don't think I'd want that, because I feel like it would divert resources away from other aspects of the game that would need it, like the campaign and the multiplayer, in the same way that Warzone, the act of making the Warzone game mode, took away resources from making, well, proper big team battle maps, and probably getting out some of those updates quicker. So our next question is from Pilot BT7274. Q&A, do you think Halo 6 will be available for PC users? Also, in my opinion, no. It's an Xbox game, and it made the Xbox, and it should stay there. If they do it, sure, I will get a PlayStation and leave Xbox. The PC BS is what's fucking Xbox up. Stop telling me we are all gamers, we play on every platform. We all know that is a lie. Everyone has a preference, like LateNightGaming loves PC. Okay, so that question ended a little bit aggressively. But the fact of the matter is, we are all gamers, and we do all have our preferences. But I also don't think it's fair to punish different people. Obviously, realistically, the reason exclusives exist is, you know, business sense. You want to entice people to your platform. But I am not, right now, I'm not thinking about platform and business and money and marketing and stuff. I'm not thinking about an allegiance to a plastic box. I'm just thinking about purely fairness. And I know you could roll your eyes or whatever, like the real world isn't fair. Like, we're not talking real world, okay? We're talking in this hypothetical perfect utopia that we all live in that clearly isn't real, but if it was real, the PC is an interesting platform because in a lot of ways it is similar to a console in that PC is not a brand. You know, there's no like PC copyright trademark, you know, the personal computer. No, you build it. You go out, you get the parts, and you assemble it. It's like making your own car, as opposed to going out and pre-buying a brand of car. The PC isn't its own brand. You buy the parts and you assemble it yourself. And so because of that, there are a wide variety of different PCs. Some people prefer to assemble their PCs to run games faster. Some people prefer to assemble their PCs to run games prettier at the cost of running faster. Like, it's all about your personal preference, and that's why I love the PC platform. If I buy a game and I think, wow, this game looks like crap, but it runs amazingly, I can have the choice to sacrifice that amazing performance to make the game look pretty. Or, you know, on the flip side, if a game looks ridiculously good, and yeah, I can maybe sacrifice the quality of shadows if it'll make the game run better. Like, that's a choice that I have. And so that's why I've always appreciated the PC platform. And consoles don't have that freedom. You're sadly locked into what you buy. And that's why I'm kind of starting to drift away from consoles and move more towards exclusively gaming on PC, just because I enjoy the personal preference. But I get that the convenience of consoles is kind of like I described with the car analogy. You can just go out, buy a car, and know that it'll work, that it will work, because it was pre-assembled for you, as opposed to you building your own one that's tailored to you from scratch. I get it. The convenience of a console is appreciated. Now, when it comes to Halo on PC, I'd absolutely love it to come to PC, because not just with, you know, the personal preference, kind of talking a little bit about how PC, you know, it allows you to tailor the game to your own experience, but I wish gaming was more like that as well, not punishing people for the console that they choose. I want Halo to be on both PC and Xbox, and I mean, unrealistically, I'd also like it to be on PlayStation, but obviously we know why that wouldn't happen. But you know, I don't like that idea of it's an Xbox game and it should stay on Xbox. The way I view it is, yeah, and Halo's pretty cool. I wish that PC players could be able to play it. I wish PlayStation gamers could be able to play it without having to go out and shell $500 for a console that they probably don't want. I'd love to share the experience of Halo with all of them, with all of us, because we are all gamers. So yeah, I'd love for Halo to be multi-platform. Realistically, it wouldn't, just in my perfect brain, like, no, not my perfect brain, my perfect utopia that's inside my brain. I want to share all the gaming experiences with everybody. I think games are art, and I think it's sad that PlayStation gamers can't experience the beautiful world of Halo. So we are now going to move on to a question from Dabda, who says, Q&A, hopefully. In an actual fight, who would win? The Scarab or the Kraken? Well, the Kraken would smash the Scarab. I don't know if you've seen the two vehicles side by side, but the Scarab's tiny. It would be like the equivalent of squashing a bug if the Kraken went up against the Scarab. Now, I get that a lot of people hate the Scarab or the Kraken because in Halo 5 it just kind of sat there. It was a very big missed opportunity to make it a Scarab-like boss battle, and hopefully, if the Kraken returns, they do it a little bit more justice. I'm also kind of hoping that we see the Scarabs return, because the Kraken is super cool, and I do like the Kraken in concept because of how awesome of a boss battle it could be if it was done correctly. I don't like that it is the replacement for the Scarab. What I think happened with the Kraken, and part of its conception, because it is odd that they replaced the Scarab, and like, obviously, look, Scarabs exist, you know, Scarabs are fine, they haven't been retconned out of Halo history, but with 343, usually, when it comes to a certain choice, when they add a new thing, it usually replaces something else, and that's kinda what I don't like about some of the artistic changes and stuff. That's kind of why I get so hot-headed about an art style change or stuff like that, because usually it means that you will never, ever see that old design in a game again. This is the new design and the way it'll look going forward. And we threw a temper tantrum about a lot of the art style changes, and from the way that 343 talks, it seems that we're going to be seeing a transition back to the old one over the course of the next couple of games. But in my head, the way that I envision them conceptualizing the Kraken was, okay, we've got next-gen hardware, and the idea of the Halo 3 Scarab was that it was on the Xbox 360, Bungie could do a lot more, so why not have this massive enemy, the Scarab from Halo 2, but now let's have it not on rails, let's have it moving around and stuff, just to flex the 360's muscles. Let's make our own version. So it would be kind of lame if we just brought back the Scarab again, because players have already seen that. It would just be a higher definition Scarab. Let's flex the muscles of the Xbox One, so it has to be a bigger Scarab than it was before. And so that's where the Kraken comes from, because it is kind of the same. It's just a mobile platform with giant legs and laser beams and stuff. Only this time it's massive to reflect the fact that the Xbox One is more powerful than the 360. Now, somewhere along the line, something must have gotten screwed up, or they hit certain roadblocks that they weren't anticipating or something, because I can't imagine behind the scenes that there weren't discussions of making the Kraken actually mobile, actually moving around like the Scarab. I know I went off on a bit of a ramble there, but I hope that answered your question. So we are going to now move on to the final question, which is from Arthur Dury, who says, Q&A, what do you think about customizable HUDs in multiplayer? In Halo 5's campaign, each character had their own HUD. How do you feel about the option to pick yours in multiplayer? So in the Halo 5 campaign, you play as the different characters, and the HUD would reflect the character that you played as. Kind of the outline and the positioning of certain items, it would kind of it would be in line with the shape of the character's visor, as well as have its own color coordination to better reflect the character. You know, ultimately, it was all about immersion, making you feel like you were not just Master Chief with the voice of Buck or something. Now, Halo 5's campaign, 343's Halo games, as much as I liked 4 and, you know, don't like 5, I don't like the way that they've been doing the HUDs. I don't like that the HUDs are very messy and cluttered in the campaign now. You can kind of see the black borders. I get that it's so immersive. It's like a helmet, you know, it's like you're wearing a helmet. But Halo's already notoriously low field of view, coupled with even more of your screen now being obscured, it's always made me feel very motion sick and made me just kind of feel like I'm wearing horse blinders. Like, no, get rid of that. Give me the multiplayer HUD where I can see everything. My screen is not being obscured by black borders to give me the illusion of being in a helmet. And something that the Battlefield series does is it's actually quite in depth, the options menu for the Battlefield series. When it comes to your HUD customization, you can enlarge or shrink your minimap, you can change the color of your reticle, change the size and shape and color of your hit markers and stuff, like the position. Some games even allow you to customize the positioning of certain HUD elements. Like, say if this was a Halo game, if you don't like the radar being in the bottom left, you could move it up to the top left, you know, if that's easier for you. I think that Halo could use that. I'd like to see Halo kind of allow for a bit more customization. I get that a lot of it is holdover from Bungie's kind of stubbornness when it came to the way that they designed their games. Bungie always had this attitude of, we made the game and this is the way the game is, and you will enjoy it. If you look at 5, there are a lot of customization options that weren't there previously, even the fine-tuning of your controller sensitivity. And I'd like 343 to go a bit further now that Halo is kind of opening itself up to a bit more accessibility. Like, if you don't like your HUD looking this way, you can rearrange things to make it suit your playstyle more. I'd like to see customizable HUD elements. And you know, hey, if people want their HUD to have those borders that it can look like they are wearing the helmet of a Spartan in multiplayer, hey, if it helps immerse them like that, then like, let them. You know, just let them do it. So guys, I hope this was an entertaining video for you, answering some of your questions. I had to dig up a lot of old questions, because it's been a while since the last Q&A. So leave future questions down below in the comments section, and hopefully the week after next, your question may be picked and answered. Upcoming, guys, we're going to be doing a video on ODST and New Mombasa. I'm also thinking of doing a video talking about the new Far Cry, because I've been playing it, and I have a variety of opinions about it, both positive and negative. And, you know, who knows, could make for an entertaining video. But if you guys have other videos that you'd like to see me tackle, then, you know, so be it. Leave it in the comment section below, and I definitely would enjoy reading some of your comments and engaging with you guys. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next video.